allegiance to the flag of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everyone. This meeting is being recorded. We have some Zoom visitors this morning. Can you gentlemen hear us?
Yes, we sure can.
Good, thank you.
Can you hear us?
We can, thank you. Would you like to introduce yourselves, please?
Yes,
Absolutely.
I'm Chris Seitz with GRS.
Hi, Chris.
And I'm Michael Spadaro with GRS.
Hi, Michael. Thank
And
you.
we should, oh, there she is. I was going to say we should have a third esteemed colleague joining us right now.
Hey,
Hi,
someone
Judy.
named Judy. Do we have Judy? Sure.
There's Flo up there.
There she is. Good morning. Judy, can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me okay as well?
Yes, we can. So we're just doing introductions. Chris and Michael introduced themselves. I take it you're Judy Kermans.
I'm Judy Kermans. I'm the president and CEO of Gabriel Roeder Smith and Company, and very happy to be before you today.
Thank you. Thank you. So we'll do introductions from our end for your benefit.
Great.
Calvin?
Calvin Moore, IT Director.
Marilyn Seco, the Courier Express and the Daily Press.
Matt Fry, County Treasurer. Rick Brown, Attorney.
Okay, hold up. Did you say who?
No, I got it.
Great. Okay. Rick Brown, our attorney.
Greg Bauer, Elk County Commissioner.
And I'm Fritz Lecker, Elk County Commissioner.
Good morning, Matt Quisenberry, Commissioner.
Pat Straub, Elk County Chief Clerk.
Emily Anders, Office Administrator.
Great. So we're
Great.
all here today. So we do have an agenda. I would look for review the agenda. Motion to approve if so. So moved. We have a motion. I will second that motion to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. We also have minutes of our January 2nd, 2025 meeting, retirement board meeting in front of us. Any questions, comments, or changes to that? Hearing none, look for a motion to approve minutes of January 2, 2025 retirement board meeting. We have a motion and a second. Thank you, gentlemen. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. So as a matter of formality, Commissioners Lecker, Quisenberry, Gebauer, our Treasurer Matthew Fry, and our Chief Clerk Patrick Straub comprise the members of the retirement board. As I'm the chair person for the commissioners, I also serve as the chair for the retirement board meeting. Today we have a presentation from Gabriel Roeder Smith and Company GRS as successor to Korn Ferry. So our chief clerk, you want to give us a little background?
Yeah, maybe 30, 45 days ago, I guess the county was notified that there was a transition, an acquisition taking place whereby GRS was acquiring the public pension business of Korn Ferry, who's our actuary. So the timing worked out pretty well. So since we're at year end and we're just putting out year end results, I thought it would be a good item. Maybe if they could join us, do some introductions, give us a little bit of background, and then maybe some key statistics on our 2024 performance and some of the actuarial high points, funding ratios, and anything else that you might want to talk about. So floor is yours, so take it away.
Should I go first, guys, then?
Yeah, would you like us to kind of explain what happened between Korn Ferry and the transition to GRS, or would you like us to just talk about the retirement plan?
Yeah, well, you could give us just a brief rendition of how that came about, and I guess what it means to us is what we're after.
Yep.
Okay. I'll do a quick. So Korn Ferry is a very large publicly traded company with many lines of business and tens of thousands of employees. and they decided that they are exiting the actuarial consulting business for pension, governmental pension plans. And so we put ourselves forward as a company that was well qualified to take over the work and receive all of the models and everything so that we could provide continuity of care and make sure that no additional balls were dropped. Everything keeps going forward without any additional staff time from our clients, you folks, and whoever is involved in that. So that was the goal, is to provide the continuity of care. And they vetted us and possibly others and selected us. So we're happy to say. And then if I can give you just a couple minutes telling you about Gabriel Roeder Smithing Company, since you may not have heard of us before. We're a very old company. We've been in business since 1938. We've been working with public sector pension plans since 1938. We have about 1,000 clients, about 40 large statewide plans that we work on, and then many plans, including some villages, cities, a lot of counties across the U.S. We have several brick and mortar offices in various cities around the U.S., and then numerous remote employees, including Michael and Chris, who are closer to you folks. So we have about 120 employees. We're employee owned. We don't have a situation like Korn Ferry where we're publicly traded. So our shareholders are our employees and always have been. And so we're independent. We can provide independent advice to you. And we're prepared to, with your consent, to keep this ball rolling, having the same terms and conditions and pricing that was provided to you from Korn Ferry and with the employees as well. So if there are any questions, otherwise I'll see if Chris or Michael have something to say before we give you your information.
That's good. Very good. Thank you.
We appreciate that. Any questions from our end?
I have none.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Look for the next segment, please.
Sure.
Okay.
So next segment is me with results and kind of preliminary numbers. So if I can, I'm going to share my screen. And hopefully I do this correctly. And everyone should see a short slide deck that we have together. Is that coming up all right for everyone?
No, not yet.
Not yet. See, this is why
I was able to see it. It showed up for me, Michael. You might want to try again. Might have just been a delay.
again, maybe it was just a timing thing.
Yeah.
There we
Be a
go.
little more patient this time. All right, there we go. Oof, okay. Thought I was having technical errors, right off the bat. That's not good. But we have a short slide deck with the preliminary results. So because we said, we are the work is transitioning to us. We have access to all of the Korn Ferry models. Chris and I have worked on the plan previously, so we're very familiar with everything. We were able to get this up and moving pretty quickly, but the preliminary numbers are on the screen now. So things were pretty standard year to year. We have some increase in liabilities, increase in assets at almost the same rate. The liabilities are increasing a little bit faster than the assets. So if you look at that middle column here, which I will try to highlight, but it's this one, this would be the preliminary results of the most recent valuation that we would be providing. So what that looks like is your liabilities at $33.7 million, actuarial value of assets, that's our smooth value of assets, at $30.5 million, and an unfunded of $3.1 million. Okay, so that puts you at 90.6% as a funded ratio, down a little bit from last year, where we were at 91.3%, but still in a very healthy position. And then if we look at the bottom line number, the contribution number for calendar year 2025, that came out to be $587,751. So that is a little bit below the estimate that you were provided at the end of last year, which was $600,000. So that's a positive place to be. Any questions about the core preliminary results?
None here.
No, we're good.
None here. Okay, I will keep moving on. Just have a brief funding history, looking at your assets, liabilities, and how that stacks up as a funded ratio. So over the past 10 years, you've kind of been hovering in this 95 to 90% funded ratio, which is a great place to be. But it has stagnated a little bit. So when we do these valuations, our goal is to get you up to 100%. That's how they're designed. So it's something we're mindful of and always keep an eye on. 90% is a good place to be, but the goal is ultimately 100%. But this is just a visual representation of kind of that history. Okay. So things we're thinking about, they weren't applied to these numbers, but we are always thinking about our key assumptions, the two big ones being mortality tables and the discount rate that we use to discount liabilities back to the current valuation date. So you're on one of the newer mortality tables, being the Pub 10 table, but there's a new one that was just published recently, which is an update of that table essentially. So it's going to be something you would hear from us over the next coming years of we're probably going to want to update to this new table so that we don't get too out of date and out of touch with the mortality tables. I know that a lot of the other PA counties had stagnant tables where they weren't doing future projections, that it was tougher to make that jump to this Pub 10 table. So the idea being if we are more frequently updating the mortality table, we don't have as big swings and we can stay up to date and keep this plan moving in the right direction. And then the other big key assumption is that discount rate. Like I touched on, currently the plan uses 7.25%. When we look at nationally, what plans are using, 7% is the median and kind of what we think as the target to move towards. So you're not outside of like a unreasonable range, but it's always going to be something that we're looking at and keeping an eye on and making sure when we look at actual returns, what are happening, that it aligns with the assumption that we're using. And it's typically always a part of the conversation. And then I went backward. The last slide we have is just some data statistics about your plan. Visually, what your active population looks like with a couple graphs based on age distribution, service distribution, along with average pay based upon that age. And then was 25 had 138 active participants, 30 terminated vested participants, and 115 annuitants that are receiving benefits. Then for those actives, the average pay for them is about $47,000. Their average age is 46.9, and they have about 10.1 years of service. So from a data standpoint, that's what we're looking at. If that looks different than what you would expect, please let us know, because that is what we're using to get these preliminary numbers. And if the data is off, our numbers are going to be off. That's my brief rundown. Nothing more unless there's questions. Those are the key high points to touch on about the valuation.
Thank you. So just one question going back on the mortality rates. We're going to update to 2016 in the future. Are those mortality rates still rising, or are they leveling off, or are they declining? Just curious.
Yep. So the recent table is a slight decline. And Kristen or Judy, correct me if I'm wrong. But that is what we have seen. It's not anything drastic, but it is not going to be like last time that the plan updated to this Pub 10 table where it was a decrease in mortality rates, which meant people are living longer and plan liabilities are going up.
Yeah. So what's listed right now is your current mortality table. That was a big deal to make that change, because that was the first time that this SOA, which is the Society of Actuaries, that was the first time that they published a table specific to governmental employees. And that was a big difference, because historically the tables that were used were based on life expectancy and experience within the private sector. So the current one that you're on is good. That's definitely what we recommend. Again, the big difference was creating these life expectancies based on employees in the public sector. This new one, as Michael said, in general, it would result in lower life expectancies in the future. So for your current members, how long we would have their life expectancy, it's not so much going down as it is that built into these tables is we expect people to continue living longer. That's this generational projection that you see written down, which is I'm expected to live to a longer, an older age than my grandfather did, and my grandson would be expected to live to a later age, have a longer life expectancy than I do. That over time, life expectancies continue to increase. So they really still are. It just has not increased at a rate as high as what we had previously expected. So when we started saying, okay, people are living longer and they will continue to live longer into the future, that's still true, but then the rate is not as fast as what we had originally kind of estimated. So that's why now it's not as steep of a curve, which as bottom line means that the life expectancy is a little bit lower than what we were using currently, and therefore the total expected benefits to be paid from the plan would be a little bit lower, which would slightly increase your funded ratio.
Okay, I have to give my opinion too now because I'm just sitting here and can't be quiet. But I think the change to generational mortality that Chris was talking about was a major deal and was very expensive for all the plans across the US. That idea that each generation has a slightly better mortality experience. So yeah, this, if anything, it depends on your plan, but it shouldn't be a significant cost, and it might even be a reduction. Small, but still a reduction.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate those explanations. So, Mr. Chief Clerk, I heard the sum of $587,751, which we should consider for our ADC. That's the first I've heard of that, but we're in good shape because we budgeted 600,000, right?
Right, and yeah, they told us that they were gonna have that number ready. I didn't have it before the meeting, but that's good news that it's less money for the
Right.
county used to put in. We've already put in 300 of what we had planned on 600,000, so we're over halfway there. So that's good news. It wasn't a big surprise upward. Joe was always worried about.
Thank you. So you also mentioned that the goal is to become 100% funded. Is that doable? Does that happen? Is that reality?
So the way that your funding is set up, so we have this actually determined contribution that we provide to you each year. That is set up. It has two components. You can see that 587 is comprised of $240,000 as what we refer to as the normal cost. That's a payment toward the benefits that are being earned for the current year. So your current employees are accruing a year of service from the county, which increases the benefit that they will receive when they retire. They're also obviously getting closer to retirement, which increases the value of that retirement benefit as you get closer to it. So you're making kind of this ongoing cost of the plan to provide the benefits that are being earned by the current employees. That's $240,000. The other portion of the ADC is $347,000. We have that listed as the unfunded liability payment. That is a payment toward the unfunded liability that you can see above of $3.1 million. So that's the difference between that total value of the benefits that we expect to be paid from the plan of $33.7 million and the actuarial value of the assets, so the money within the trust of $30.5 million. So that difference is why you're seeing that 90% funded as opposed to 100% funded. So what the plan does is create amortization payments, and you're making payments over time to help pay down that $3.1 million. Now, of course, year to year, there's always changes because that top line, the 33.7 million, is just an estimate of what the value of the benefits will be. Obviously, the benefits themselves are unknown because as we talked about life expectancy, as we talked about Obviously, we don't know when each member will retire. We don't know what their pay will be in the future. So it's just an estimate that will continue changing over time. So you may not ever exactly hit 100% as things go back and forth and up and down compared to our expectations. But the model itself is designed to pay down that full 3.1 million. So if as we move forward and we continue making these payments, the 347,000, you are making payments toward paying down the full 3.1 million, which is why Michael explained that we are funding to 100%. So the model that you're using, you're paying toward paying down the total value of that unfunded liability.
Right,
So-
great.
So
Can
I mean,
I add
you could
Yeah.
technically be
But
100%
my question
next
was,
year.
my
We have
question
great-
was, okay, excuse me. So I appreciate that, and I get the 90.6 is a good place to be. Is 100% a reasonable goal to shoot at? I mean, do other plans, are they funded at 100%? I know the state pension is really low, but
Can I add
no,
a couple things? Oh, Chris, go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
so no, in general, most plans, as they approach closer to 100%, there is a desire to keep a relatively stable contribution amount. So remember, this really is a budgeting tool. That's why we prepare the estimate, and that's why we do this. We want
Right,
to
I
have
understand.
we want the contributions to be relatively stable and relatively predictable. Because so like theoretically, if you were 100% funded, then you would only be potentially making that $240,000 contribution. In many cases, it is very difficult for the governments to later have to find an extra $300,000 in the budget again. So it is preferred by many of them to again have that relatively stable contribution amount. Also, if you're fully funded, you won't be able to the money that you can receive from the state for some of those lines you could potentially not receive that anymore because that's again tied to making these payments for the unfunded.
okay, great. Yeah, I hate to get into this big tangle. I just wondered if it was realistic to expect our pension fund to be 100% funded. I thought the answer was no, and I'm guessing the answer is it's not really realistic. So
Yeah,
I understand all the math and everything.
Correct.
Our
Yeah. So again,
straightforward.
and what you wind up seeing in a lot of plans, what you wind up seeing is as you're getting very close to that 100%, in order to maintain stability, they will look at potentially adopting a more conservative assumption.
Great.
So you'd have kind of some favorable experience, like some favorable investment returns, maybe over a couple of years that are getting you up to that close to that 100%, may be a good opportunity to lower your investment return assumption that Michael had shown at 7.25. That may create a good opportunity to adopt a more conservative assumption of 7% without creating a large increase in the budget. So it's kind of like as you get closer to 100%, you move the goalposts a little bit higher sometimes, because sometimes boards would like to maybe use that as an opportunity to move toward a more conservative expectation.
That's what I was going to add, Chris. That's the perfect answer. What we tell plans usually is that's a good time for you to de-risk if you're getting to 100%. And then maybe you can put a little less pressure on the investments that you have to earn and have a little more benefit security by doing that for plan members.
Understood. Thank you.
When is the plan to change the mortality table, and how is that going to affect the ADC going forward?
Yeah, so that's not included for 2025. We'd probably look at including that for 2026, and we do not expect a very large impact, probably not very material, but most likely it would actually be a slight reduction in the ADC to move to that updated mortality table. But again, there's many other moving pieces. The biggest effect will always be your actual investment performance. That will always have the biggest effect on the changes you see year to year. But doing that, if we were to adopt this new table for 2026, that one component of the delta that you'll see in the year to year change, that one piece of adopting the new mortality table would probably be a slight decrease in the ADC.
Thank you. Any other questions on this side?
Yeah, I have one question. So and you just alluded to it on the discount rate or the expected rate of return on the portfolio. We've got a small disparity of 0.25%. It's a small number, but it's large when you're multiplying it times 30 million or 31 million. So it does have an impact. So we did have a in-depth discussion with Korn Ferry probably 2 years ago about all of our assumptions, the discount rate, the expected salary increases, and the inflation rate. So is that a good time, maybe now a good time to look at all of those three numbers? Because we're not quite at 3.5% on our salary increases, which is, I guess, in our favor. And our inflation expectation is 3%, 3.0. So just looking for your comments as to maybe we need to revisit those with you folks. And at last time we had CS McKee involved in the expected rate of return discussion, which was helpful. So anything you can give me on that?
Yes, that's something that we'd like to continually monitor each year. So we can certainly, again, as we move toward 2026, we can look at providing estimates of, okay, here's kind of an estimate for 2026, and here's what the impact would be if we were to do something like reduce that expected return assumption or reduce the inflation assumption. So, I mean, the difference between 7% obviously is more conservative of an expectation than 7.25%. As you see, it's difficult to come up with these expectations because there's so much market volatility. For the most part, for all plans, if you look at any period, whether it be any single year, obviously, but even if you look at a 5 or 10 year or even 20-year period, it tends to either be higher than 7.25 or lower than 7%. The odds that you kind of fall within that range are usually pretty unlikely, because again, you just see, if you look, I know within your report, you'll see historically what you've had each calendar year, and you'll see they tend to be all over the place. So it's difficult to be so precise in what that expectation would be.
Great. Okay. Anything else from our side? Any other information from you folks?
I believe, Pat, have we sent the one-page assignment contract?
Yes, actually, that's under our agenda under new business. So we're going to talk about you in a couple of minutes.
Great.
We'll address that, and I'll get back to you later today on that.
Well, we definitely thank you for your time today, and we certainly look forward to continuing to work with you.
Thank you for joining us. It was a pleasure to meet you all.
It was my pleasure meeting you all as well. Thank you so much for your time.
Bet. You're welcome to stay on or drop off as you see fit. So next, we'll have some remarks from our chief clerk. If you have anything else to add, Pat?
Yeah, I just have just a couple comments, and we hit on a lot of these during that discussion. So this is just sort of an update going into 2025. Our planned balance as of June 30 was 31,771,000 and change. And we've been doing very well in the market. 13.5% in 23, about 13.25% in 24, and almost 12% so far in 25. So again, the better the performance out of your investment portfolio means lower contributions by the county. So always a good thing when the market's going up. It reduces our contribution. They went through the statistics on our plan participants. We got 283. We probably have 6 or 8 more pensioners this year, so that's a little drag on our cash. So I mean, as those numbers move around and you've got more people collecting, you're going to see a little bit more or less stress on the plan. So I do take a look at that. Nothing you can do about it, but the ADC, again, going into today's meeting, I didn't know what the actual was. We've been working with 600,000 and we funded 300 of that 600. And of course, that's the ADC is the you know, what balances the equation on the actuarial numbers. I just stated a few minutes ago the assumptions that we currently use in our portfolio, and these are subject to change and review by the retirement board, because every time you move these numbers up or down, it's going to affect all of their calculations going out many years to bring that the contribution that we owe today into focus. So it's important to pay attention to those numbers for sure. You guys hit on the financial health of the plan, so no need to go through there. And then the benchmarking, 91%. When you look at statistics, anywhere 90 or above is generally rated these days as above average. 80 would be sort of on the borderline. A few probably have 100 in as a practical matter. So I feel pretty good about where we're at on a funding platform. So I guess those are just my comments based on what I see, but it's a lot of the same concerns that you folks had, and so I guess that's all I have, unless anybody has any questions about what I've talked about.
Any questions for Patrick? Thanks, Pat. This is good info. We appreciate it. Okay, moving on. No old business. Under new business item number 1, a consent to assignment of Corn Ferry actuarial services contract between Gabriel Roeder Smith and Company, or GRS, and Elk County. So I think we've explained this satisfactorily to everyone. Any other questions? This would be an agreement transferring our agreement to transfer the business to
not a new
GRS.
Contract, is the assignment of existing contract.
Right. Gentlemen, any questions?
We just said
That term, just dated July 9th. So is it an ongoing contract?
Yeah, it's just a one-time agreement to accept the terms of the existing contract. It's dated July 9th. That's probably when it was sent in to me.
Okay. So this is just consent to assign contract
That's it.
to GRS.
Yeah.
Same contract we have with Corn Ferry to GRS.
And I recommend the approval of that.
We have a recommendation from our chief clerk. Anything from you? Okay. Make a motion that we approve this consent for the assignment of contract. For a second.
Second.
Motion and a second. Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay. So, so folks from GRS, we will get this signed and processed and back to you later today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We appreciate your confidence.
Bet. New business number 2, County Belk Retirement Board, our investment policy statement dated June 26, 2025.
Yeah, so it's just it's good housekeeping to keep these updated as things change. And there was a few very, very minor changes in contact folks. Really no changes in the existing one that was actually put in place last February of 24. So the investment policy statement is basically the rules of the road. It just provides a framework for managing the investments. It sets expectations of what is expected of the investment advisor and of the client in terms of investor goals, risk tolerance, asset allocations, and then how do you plan on judging the investment performance? So there you're using benchmarks like the S&P, the Russell 2000, and various bond indexes to say, am I doing a good job? It's the report card you use. So it sets the expectations that way. So again, standard agreement that needs signed and returned to CSPK, just reaffirming what we already know. Our asset mix is not changing. It's fairly conservatively based. Just a matter of housekeeping that we sign it.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments?
I would recommend that we sign dated June 26th, 2025.
Yeah. We have a motion?
No, yeah, the motion.
We have a motion, look for a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the investment policy statement with CSPK dated June 26, 25. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you. Questions from the press?
No.
Okay, any questions from taxpayers? Hearing none, look for a motion to adjourn the meeting. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you all.